But again, Lorna, Swisher, and Gary Huff.
Thanks for the opportunity to. You haven't heard us speak yet. Thank you all for the opportunity to be here. We have a critical vote that will be on our primary ballot, if you have not already voted, next Tuesday, March the 17th. We have a 0.25% income tax renewal on the ballot, with all of those funds going to roads. And I have asked Gary to come in and speak about the street levy, and he will give you the facts and will absolutely be able to answer any questions or clean up any misconceptions that there might be out there about how the levy is used, how those funds are spent, and what they're spent on. And my job primarily is to ask you to please consider voting yes on that levy when it appears on the ballot next week. So, Gary.
Thank you. Well, Lorna is correct. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and hopefully I just can clear it up, and so you'll have a better understanding and the facts behind the levy and the purpose and so forth. This is the levy has been in place since for 30 years. It was first enacted in 1990 and went into effect in 1991, so it's been renewed 3 times. This will be the 4th time it will be on the ballot. It generates about between $1.3 and $1.4 million for it, and it is strictly used only for street paving, street reconstruction, along those lines. There are other funds that go into the streets that come from part of the income tax, but that pays for the staffing at Public Works and the different operations that they do. So this is the only funding that's strictly and related just to the street paving and reconstruction itself. As I said, it generates about $1.3 million. One of the things that the way the city collects income tax is that it's collected from the people who work in the city. So if you live in Piqua, and let's say you work in Troy, you pay city income tax to Troy, and vice versa. The only reason that a city resident would have to pay any if they work someplace else is in the case, as example of Troy, since our income tax is 2% and Troy is 1.75, those that live in Piqua would pay the difference of the 0.25%. But it's interesting to note that almost of the workforce of the people who work in Piqua, about 70%, it's actually about 73% don't live in Piqua. So most of the income tax that's generated in the city comes from people that live outside of Piqua. So it's an interesting fact. The other thing is that only the people that in Piqua that have earned income, the income tax only applies to earned income. So if you're on any type of retirement program, and I'll give you a listing here because I can never remember all, you don't pay city income tax if you're on Social Security, pensions, poor relief, military pay, unemployment compensation, alimony, capital gains, intangible income, dividends, interest, and anyone 17 years and younger do not pay city income tax at all. So we want you to understand where that money actually generates and who actually pays that. We have we used part of that funding to leverage state funds for projects, and so we've been able to leverage an additional, over the last 10 years, $14 million to come into the city to be able to do projects with, sometimes even paving. So that has helped tremendously. We've spent on paving alone, about $6.7 million over the last 10 years. So there's a lot of projects that get done. We have a lot of streets that still need paving, and we're starting to make some progress on catching up. But it's if it doesn't pass, which will be a choice of the citizens, that live here. If it doesn't pass, then we'll only be limited, the only funding we will have would be within the Public Works Department for patching, small patches and so forth. So that's kind of the ramifications of that situation. So I think we have, over the last 10 years, really been able to leverage and make some progress. Again, we're not there yet. We've started to implement paving alleys. We want to try and get all the alleys paved. There's a lot of alleys here in the city of Piqua, I can tell you. There's a lot. So, and then we got other trail work that needs to be done. That's part of a different fund. But that's all paving that has to be done from a different fund. But bridges also play into it. If we have to improve bridges and so forth, that's part of the dedicated funding too. So, just wanted to give you some facts about it so that you understand with it coming up next Tuesday, and leave it to you to decide whether you want to vote for it or against it. So again, I can't promote either way. I just have to give you the facts of the matter. I'm not allowed to do that, so just let you understand. I would be happy to answer any questions that you might have about it. Warren?
Here is the Loney Road project, is that scheduled for this year?
We're trying to get some special funding for that. It's not scheduled right now. Paving Looney Road is about $1 million project. So we've been applying for some additional funds from the state to try to get that. We need to do something within the next year.
Part of that's from the county too, isn't it?
I don't know that they have anything on Looney. I think we own to the curve on the other side, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So it all depends where the line is, but I think we have the entire road.
What, the whole on Looney or part of it?
The whole,
No.
yeah. Yeah, I think that falls to us, the entirety of it.
That'll use up all your money.
It would, that's the reason we're trying to get additional funding to be able to, it would be a shame to have to spit it all on one street, because there's a lot of streets that utilize it. We'll be coming out later this week with a whole list of streets that engineering will be paving. We actually do two different paving projects. Our engineering department handles the full paving. We contract that out, bid it out to paving contractors for all the streets, and we take it as far as we can with the money that we have in. And then also the Public Works department does some very short street paving. They'll do patching, short patches, or just pothole patching, and then they do the alleys also. So we have both of those programs going on for paving. Anything else about paving?
So if you have Gary here, if you have any other questions about the city, you have him.
I wasn't gonna ask it in public, but
That's right.
why was the ground between High Street and Bronx Pond devastated?
The
No,
bank, the levee?
Uh-huh.
The levee banks?
Yes.
Yes. Good question. We were under orders from the Ohio Department of Natural Resources to clear off the levee. The levees aren't supposed to have any growth of trees on them. Don't know why they didn't enact it long ago. We felt it was a mistake for them to force us to do this because, in my opinion, the killing the trees kills the roots, which I think would cause more leakage. And we argued that with them, but they required us to clear it. Had we refused, they could come in and do whatever they wanted.
But that's not even on the levee.
That's part of the levee.
South of it.
Where, you talking about the levee banks itself?
No, I'm talking about maybe you call it considered a levee bank, but it's not adjacent to the Bronx Pond.
Well,
It's from High Street to
High Street all the way up to Park there, almost.
well, you didn't do it, I don't think.
Yeah, we've cleared everything.
Yeah, but that section doesn't touch.
It's considered part of the levee. Yes. Yeah. So we were required to do that. We could have faced fines for not doing it and so forth, so it was just a matter of we had to go ahead and get it done.
That was the most beautiful section of the thread.
Yeah.
We don't disagree, we don't disagree with you, we didn't think it should happen, but
Just,
we were required to do it.
just terrible.
Yeah. We're also facing some other things with the levy, they are requiring us, they may change the rating of the levy, our dams, we're battling that right now, which may require us to expand the existing dams, which would be at millions and millions of dollars, and we're trying to figure out how to get around that. So it's been a challenge of late, of dealing with the state on those particular issues.
Need to have less bureaucrats in Columbus.
I think that's a good idea.
It's not gonna go very far.
We get, we call those things unfunded mandates, where they require you to do these things and they don't give you any money to do it, they just require you to do it at a local level. But yeah, that's the whole reason behind why that happened, so.
Well, I've heard that it was Department of Natural Resources behind it, but I couldn't for the life of me figure out why.
Now, if they tell us that we have to expand and widen our dams, we're left with the choice of coming up with millions of dollars or draining them. There's your options.
Our drinking water.
Well, primarily the drinking water comes out of the river,
I know.
but it's a backup source for us, so, yes.
Well, that will be nice looking mud holes.
Yep.
To do that.
It would. So that's the reason we're working really hard to try not to make sure our rating isn't up higher than what they're talking about doing. So there's some challenges that we have to overcome those things.
Okay.
Other questions or anything about the city? Yeah, Warren.
Have you been able to lease out the old water plant for training for the fire department?
Well, yes, we are. We're underway out there with we've are using that now as a regional public safety training center, and we're getting a lot of donations in. We're working with Bowling Green State University on training, and we've got some other, and this may be something that we've put it out there a few times, but we also do, through Bowling Green State University, we do specialized testing of batteries, Tesla, and many other companies who are making new batteries for, whether it's related to solar power or for buildings to have energy, backup energy and so forth, but we're doing a lot of the testing out there for that, and then even some of them are being tested underwater, and the old treatment plant is ideal for doing that because we have the pits and so forth that we're able to fill, and they've been able, and the testing underwater is for battery packs for the Jaws of Life equipment that they're now making that will operate, the batteries operate underwater if they have to go in and use those to save someone who's in the river or lake or something like that. So there's a lot of that going on out there, and I think you're going to see much more of that in the future. It's really some advanced technology that's happening, but they're working with us and helping build facilities, and we hope to have it's a really unique training facility that it's not really, not your typical or traditional type of public safety training facility. It's a little different with all the opportunities for confined space training and all the pipes and everything that we're getting some really good use out of at this point. And saving a lot of money if we went in and did a demolition. That's tremendous cost to do that. So being able to reuse this facility not only benefits us from the training, but also from having to spend a lot of money just to demo the facility. So it's turned out to be pretty beneficial from that standpoint.
Are they on Looney Road in 36, right across from where the new Cameron Hospital is being built? They tore down the old marathon. Are they putting in a new one?
Yeah, big new one.
Upgrading?
Yeah,
I wondered if
big upgrade to that. So
okay,
yeah,
good,
big facility there that's probably they go up pretty quickly on that. So you'll see some other things happening on East Ash Street here pretty soon too, of new retail and banks and things like that that we're working with right now to come into the city. There's really a lot happening, despite what you might hear out there. I think it's we're working with six industries right now on expansions, on significant expansions to their existing businesses, and then we're talking about 9 more on different types of new development, and that's just on the industry side. So those are great opportunities for us to help our existing businesses, because in reality, 80% of all job growth comes from your existing businesses. I mean, you can bring in new businesses, which are great and we work at, but seeing existing businesses expand and grow is really where a majority of the job growth comes from in the community. So, yes, ma'am.
Does the city have any input on the Piqua Mall itself?
Not other than trying to convince them to do something. With the new ownership, I don't know how familiar you are with the situation, but the new owners bought it and they immediately sold off the restaurant parcels to investors. They're in the process of selling the hotel. They're in the process of the cinema being sold in Riverside Place. So there's things happening out there. I don't know whether that's for the good or for the bad. So we'll just have to see. But they are talking about doing some different things, which I think they have to look at. Excuse me, like entertainment facilities and things that they're just gonna have to rethink how they've used that in the past.
Because I've had several people ask about a casino, and I don't know where that rumor started.
That's the second time it's been brought up to me today.
Just today?
Yeah, just today. Somebody was asking me about it this morning at breakfast. There is no casino. There's no plans for any casino. It was all from a satirical Facebook page that generates those type of things.
Okay.
If you read that satirical site, you'll also find that we have people living in our sewers, and that there's
50 of them.
And there's 6-foot rats that live down there with them and stuff like that. So all the cities are they're doing it to everyone, and this one, the casino, has been kind of amazing because that's been going on for months. I mean, this stuff. So
The answer is no.
the answer is absolutely no. There is no casino. Every time a piece of ground is moved, it's a casino. So,
Yeah.
But it's not true. Not true. Yes, sir.
Was there any truth to the spotting an alligator in the river?
I don't think so. Anything can happen. I will tell you, I mean, anything can happen. Somebody could release something. But we did 2-3 years ago on doing work down at the wastewater treatment plant. We found a dead python laying on the rocks. So it's not unusual that people turn stuff loose. But I don't know whether there's an alligator in there or not. So I doubt it, but who knows?
You're gonna go swimming in there?
Now, what about the polling buildings that you're in?
Polling furniture?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in, of course, that building, they walked away from the business there. And that building is way behind on taxes. So we are working to try to get that building into a new owner's hands. So we're working on that, trying to make all that happen with Miami County. It's called our land reutilization program. Any other questions or anything? Well, thank you all for.
I got one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
The old Orfeld building, I went by there last night, and it looked like there was a lot of activity down there, like they had people working and things of that nature. What's the status down there?
Well, they originally, they bought the building and they were trying to put it back into operation, and we weren't sure exactly what and all they were going to do, but they did get funding from the Dayton Development Corporation to make major improvements. And I understand they had 2 other factories, one in Italy and one in Canada. And in recent times, we understand that the Italy facility caught fire, and they really needed to bring production to Northville here. So I think there are some things happening down there with that. So haven't had too much information lately, but I do know that they were viable enough to receive funding from the Dayton Development Corporation, which means you really got to have a commitment to do something. Yes, sir.
I know there's more cars every time I come up every week, setting up.
Yeah.
People
Yeah,
working.
probably so.
Even the office today had about 6 or 7 cars.
Yeah, so they're probably doing a lot more of that. They were using a lot of the facility for a while for warehousing for different companies, and they may still be doing some of that, but I do think the felt
It's
production
on the
is.
second floor, most of that activity.
Yes,
Is
sir.
there some interest in restoring or doing something with the Starfire filling station out on 25A?
Yes, we are, right now, we've just been meeting within the last 2 weeks with the owner to convince him to let us, actually, the ideal situation is for them to give it to the city so that we can use state funding to remediate any type of environmental issues there with the underground tanks. And then we have a buyer for that land as soon as we complete that. So that's the plan that we're working on right now. And that would be another business expansion. Anything? Thank you.
So again, this levy will be on the ballot next Tuesday, and we would hope that you would vote yes. You may have noticed on your way in, we have a bunch of signs out here, sidewalk signs, yard signs. If you feel so inclined, please take one and put it up in your yard for the vote next week. It is critical in our community that we pass this levy, and otherwise that's almost $1.5 million that we don't have going into our infrastructure, so it's really important. So Gary couldn't say that, that's why I'm here to say it. So thank you all very much for the opportunity, we appreciate it.